The breaking point. The observation deck of Bastion 7 offered the best view in the entire outpost. Captain Maya Rise stood with her hands clasped behind her back, watching as the distant stars winked in the endless void. At 42, she had seen more combat than most career officers, her face bearing the subtle marks of someone who had stared death in the face and refused to blink. A thin scar traced from her right temple to her jaw, a reminder of the Centauri conflict where she'd earned her first command. "Captain," called Lieutenant Haruki from behind her. "Long-range sensors have detected something. Multiple signatures, approaching from the Cygnus arm." Maya didn't turn immediately. "Identification?" "Unknown, ma'am. But there are hundreds of them. Maybe thousands." Now she turned, her dark eyes narrowing. "Show me." The holographic display flared to life, revealing a swarm of vessels moving in perfect formation. They were unlike any ships humanity had encountered in their 70 years of interstellar expansion. The vessels resembled massive crystalline structures, faceted like diamonds, but with an unsettling asymmetry that suggested both technological and biological components. "How long until they reach Bastion 7? She asked. "At current velocity, 18 hours. Maya nodded once. "Alert Earth Command. Prepare the station for potential hostile contact. I want all civilians moved to the emergency shelters." "Yes, Captain." As Haruki left, Maya studied the approaching fleet. Humanity had encountered 7 spacefaring species since leaving Earth. Some were allies, others maintained cautious diplomatic relations, and 2 had engaged in limited skirmishes over boundary disputes. None had ever approached with a fleet of this magnitude. "What are you?" she whispered to the distant ships. The answer came sooner than expected. 12 hours later, a single vessel detached from the fleet and accelerated toward Bastion 7, stopping just outside weapons range. A communication request followed immediately. Maya stood in the command center, surrounded by her senior officers, as the main screen flickered to life. The being that appeared was bipedal but clearly not human. Its body was covered in what looked like living metal, constantly shifting and reforming. Where a face should be, there were only swirling patterns of silver and gold that occasionally formed what might be considered eyes. "I speak for the Vorathi Dominion," the creature said, its voice unnaturally smooth, transmitted directly to their communication systems, without any detectable sound waves. "You will surrender this outpost and provide coordinates to your homeworld immediately." Maya stepped forward. "I am Captain Maya Rise of the United Earth Defense Force. We have no quarrel with your people, if you seek diplomatic relations." "Diplomacy is irrelevant," the Vorathi interrupted. "Your species has been observed and found lacking. Your territories contain resources we require. Surrender now and a portion of your population will be preserved to serve the Dominion." The command center fell silent as the implications sank in. Maya kept her expression neutral, decades of military discipline preventing any show of the cold fury building inside her. "The people of Earth do not surrender to threats," she replied evenly. "If you enter our territory with hostile intent, we will defend ourselves." The Vorathi's metallic features swirled faster, almost agitated. "Your defiance is noted and will factor into the percentage of your species permitted to survive. You have 6 hours to reconsider before we demonstrate our capabilities." The screen went dark. Maya turned to her officers, their faces tense but determined. "Contact Earth Command. Priority Alpha. We need reinforcements." "The nearest battle group is 3 days out," Commander Ellis, her second in command, replied grimly. "Then we'll have to hold until they arrive," Maya said. "Begin evacuating all non-essential personnel. Divert power to shields and weapons, and prepare the Whisper Protocol." Ellis's eyes widened. "The Whisper Protocol isn't ready for field deployment." "It's all we got," Maya countered. "And I'd rather go down testing an experimental defense system than waiting to be slaughtered." The Whisper Protocol was Maya's brainchild, a theoretical weapons system that used quantum entanglement to temporarily phase matter out of normal spacetime. It had shown promise in simulations, but had never been tested against actual targets. Now it might be their only hope. 6 hours later, the Vorathi demonstration of power began. Without warning, 3 beams of concentrated energy lanced out from their fleet, targeting the human colonies on Proxima Centauri Via, Europa Nova, and New Anchorage. The devastation was broadcast on all channels, cities reduced to ash in seconds, millions of lives extinguished without declaration of war. Maya watched the footage with her officers, their faces ashen with horror and rage. The message was clear: surrender or face extinction. "They're monsters," whispered Lieutenant Commander Chen, her voice breaking. "No," Maya replied, her voice steel. "They're predictable, and that's their weakness." She turned to Ellis. "Is the Whisper protocol online?" He nodded reluctantly. "As ready as it'll ever be." "Good, because I'm done playing defense." Maya pulled up the tactical display. "The Vorathi think they understand humans. They think we'll cower or break. They don't realize what they've done." "What have they done, Captain?" asked Haruki. Maya's smile was cold and sharp as a blade. "They've given us nothing left to lose." Over the next 12 hours, Maya implemented a strategy that violated every conventional military doctrine. While the Vorathi expected the humans to either surrender or fortify Bastion 7, she instead ordered most of the station's power diverted to the Whisper protocol, leaving their shields dangerously weak. When the Vorathi fleet moved in for what they assumed would be an easy conquest, they found themselves facing a station that appeared to be failing. "They're hailing us again," reported the communications officer. The Vorathi commander appeared once more on screen. "Your defenses are collapsing. Surrender now and accept servitude." Maya stepped forward, her expression one of desperate defeat. "Our main reactor is critical. We can't control it. Please, we need assistance or the station will explode." The metallic face swirled in what might have been confusion or suspicion. "Your deception is primitive. Our scans confirm your reactor's instability, but this changes nothing." "It wasn't a trick," Maya said, her voice breaking convincingly. "I'm trying to save my people. Let us evacuate, and you can have the station." After a moment of consideration, the Vorathi agreed, likely seeing an opportunity to capture human technology intact. 3 of their vessels moved closer to Bastion 7, preparing to board. Now, Maya ordered the moment the Vorathi ships crossed the designated threshold. The Whisper protocol activated, creating a quantum field that enveloped the 3 Vorathi vessels. For a brief moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then the ships began to shimmer. Their molecular structure temporarily shifted half a phase out of normal spacetime. In that moment of vulnerability, Maya ordered all weapons to fire. The results exceeded their wildest expectations. The Vorathi shields, designed to repel conventional attacks, were useless against weapons hitting targets that existed partially in another phase of reality. All 3 ships were destroyed, their crystalline structures shattering into countless fragments. The command center erupted in cheers, but Maya silenced them with a raised hand. "This isn't victory. It's just bought us time." She turned to Ellis. "How many more times can we use the Whisper protocol?" "Maybe twice more before the emitters burn out completely," he answered. Maya nodded grimly. "Then we make them count." The Vorathi response was swift and furious. A barrage of energy weapons struck Bastion 7, overwhelming sections of their shields. Emergency bulkheads slammed shut as portions of the station lost atmosphere. Casualty reports began flooding in. "They're adapting," Ellis observed, pointing to the tactical display where the remaining Vorathi ships had spread out, staying beyond the range of the Whisper field. "Yes," Maya agreed, "but so are we." She called up a new set of schematics, ones that hadn't existed until an hour ago, when Bastion 7's engineers had frantically reconfigured their communications array. "The Vorathi communicate using quantum signals," Maya explained to her officers. "We've been monitoring their patterns, and there's a backdoor. Their ships are networked in ways ours aren't. It's efficient but vulnerable." "What are you suggesting, Captain?" asked Commander Chen. Maya's eyes glinted with determination. "We're going to hack their fleet." She turned to her communications officer. "Prepare a message to Earth Command. Tell them to gather every ship they can spare and prepare for coordinated action. Then send this data packet to every human outpost within range." The plan was audacious to the point of insanity. While Bastion 7 continued to draw Vorathi fire, appearing to weaken by the hour, Maya's team worked tirelessly to infiltrate the alien network. They discovered that the Vorathi ships operated on a hive mind principle, with commands flowing from their flagship to the rest of the fleet. If they could interrupt that chain of command, even briefly, they might create enough confusion to strike a meaningful blow. 17 hours into the battle, with Bastion 7 critically damaged and running on emergency power, Maya gathered her remaining officers in what was left of the command center. "Earth Command has assembled a response fleet," she informed them, her face illuminated by the emergency lights. "They'll arrive in 36 hours. Our job is to make sure there's still something left to save when they get here." "How?" asked Ellis, voicing what everyone was thinking. "We're running on fumes. Half the station is compromised." Maya pointed to the tactical display where a single dot blinked steadily. "Because we're taking the fight to them. I've identified their command vessel. If we can disrupt it, even temporarily, we might buy enough time for reinforcements to arrive." "That's a suicide mission," Chen said softly. "Not if we use the last charge of the Whisper Protocol as cover," Maya countered. "A small team could board their command ship while their systems are disrupted." The silence that followed was heavy with understanding. None of them might survive this gambit, but the alternative was certain defeat. "I'll need volunteers," Maya said finally. Every officer in the room stepped forward without hesitation. As they prepared for the most desperate mission of their lives, Maya sent one final message to Earth Command, holding the line at Bastion 7. "The Vorathi can be beaten. Remember, when the galaxy doubts us, humanity never surrenders." The turning tide. The assault shuttle trembled as it navigated through the debris field that had once been part of Bastion 7's outer ring. Captain Maya Rice sat with 5 volunteers, Ellis, Chen, Haruki, and 2 security specialists, Diaz and Okonkwo. Each wore a modified EVA suit equipped with the personal scale whisper technology that the station's engineers had cobbled together in the past 20 hours. "Remember," Maya said as she checked her weapon one last time, "once we're aboard, we'll have approximately 40 minutes before our suits lose phase coherence. After that, we'll be fully detectable." Ellis nodded grimly. 40 minutes to infiltrate an alien command vessel, locate their central network hub, and upload a virus designed to disrupt a technology we barely understand. "When you put it like that," Maya replied with a thin smile, "it sounds almost impossible." "Almost," Chen echoed, her fingers dancing over a tablet containing the virus they'd developed by reverse engineering the Vorathi communications. The shuttle's pilot, a young officer named Santiago, called back from the cockpit. 2 minutes to activation point, Captain. The Vorathi don't appear to have detected us yet." Maya stood and addressed her team one final time. "What we do today isn't just for Bastion 7 or even Earth. It's for every species that might find themselves in the Vorathi's path next. They think we're primitive, predictable. Let's show them how wrong they are." The shuttle reached its designated position, barely visible against the backdrop of space, its stealth systems working overtime to mask their presence. A kilometer away loomed the Vorathi command vessel, a massive, jagged structure that pulsed with energy and seemed to bend light around its crystalline edges. "Initiating Whisper Protocol," Santiago announced, his fingers flying over the controls. The modified quantum field generator hummed to life, and the shuttle, along with its occupants, began to shift slightly out of phase with normal spacetime. The sensation was disorienting. Maya felt simultaneously heavier and lighter, her vision blurring at the edges before stabilizing. "Phase shift complete," Santiago confirmed. "You're invisible to their sensors, but I can't guarantee how long that will last. The field is already showing signs of instability. Then we don't waste time, Maya said, signaling her team toward the airlock. Take the shuttle back to a safe distance. If we succeed, you'll know. If we don't. Santiago nodded solemnly. Good hunting, Captain. The team launched from the shuttle, their suit thrusters guiding them silently toward the Vorathi vessel. As they approached, the alien ship's true scale became apparent. It was more like a floating city than a conventional spacecraft, with sections that moved independently of one another in a bizarre, almost organic pattern. There, Haruki said over the comm, pointing to what appeared to be a maintenance access point. According to our scans, that's our best entry option. They reached the hull without incident, the whisper protocol preventing the Vorathi from detecting their presence. The access point yielded to Chen's improvised bypass tool, and moments later, they were inside the massive ship. The interior was even stranger than the exterior. Corridors that seemed to shift and realign themselves, lighting that emanated not from fixtures but from the very walls, which pulsed with a bioluminescent glow. The atmosphere was breathable, but had a metallic tang that permeated even their sealed suits. Stay in phase, Maya reminded her team as they moved deeper into the vessel. Don't touch anything unless absolutely necessary. They encountered few Vorathi at first. The massive ship seemed to run largely on automated systems. Those aliens they did see moved with strange, fluid grace, their metallic bodies reflecting the ambient light as they went about incomprehensible tasks. Central Command should be 20 levels up, Ellis whispered, consulting a crude map they'd constructed from their scans. But I'm not seeing anything resembling an elevator or transport system. As if in response to his observation, the floor beneath them suddenly became transparent, revealing a swirling vortex of energy. Before anyone could react, the vortex expanded, enveloping them in a column of light. When it dissipated seconds later, they found themselves in an entirely different section of the ship. Some kind of internal transport system, Chen murmured, running a scanner over the floor. It responded to our presence despite the phase shift. Maya felt a chill run through her, which means they might be able to detect us after all. Captain, Okonkwo said urgently, pointing to a nearby display that showed schematics of what appeared to be Bastion 7. I think they're planning another attack. Maya studied the display, her jaw tightening as she recognized tactical projections. The Vorathi were preparing to deliver a killing blow to what remained of the station. We need to move faster, she decided. New plan. Chen and Haruki continue to the central network hub. The rest of us will find their weapons control and create a diversion. Splitting up increases the risk, Ellis cautioned. Staying together guarantees we run out of time, Maya countered. We have 32 minutes before our phase shift fails completely. With reluctance, they separated. Maya led Ellis, Diaz, and Okonkwo through a series of chambers that grew progressively larger and more complex. They passed what appeared to be biological research labs, containing specimens from dozens of different species, some alive and conscious in transparent containment fields, watching them with desperate eyes. My God, Diaz whispered as they passed a chamber containing humanoid figures. Are those humans? Maya confirmed grimly, captured from the colonies they attacked. She forced herself to keep moving, though every instinct screamed to stop and free the prisoners. We helped them by completing the mission. They finally reached what appeared to be a weapons control center, a vast chamber dominated by crystalline structures that pulsed with energy. Vorathi operators stood at various stations, their metallic bodies interfacing directly with the ship's systems. Remember, Maya whispered to her team, we only need to create enough chaos to draw attention away from Chen and Haruki. Once our phase shift fails, we'll be detected immediately, so make it count. Ellis nodded, distributing the explosive charges they'd brought. Plant them on the primary junctions, he instructed. Set timers for synchronous detonation. As they moved carefully around the oblivious Vorathi, Maya noticed something unusual, a large containment field at the center of the chamber housing what appeared to be a pulsating, multifaceted crystal the size of a human torso. That's not a weapon, she realized aloud. It's a power source. She approached it cautiously, her scanner revealing energy readings that defied conventional physics. The crystal seemed to exist partially in multiple dimensions at once, not unlike the effect of their own whisper protocol, but vastly more sophisticated. "Captain," Ellis's voice came through her comm. "Charges are set. We have 24 minutes of phase shift remaining." Maya made a split-second decision. Change of plans. Target that crystal. If it's what I think it is, disabling it could affect the entire ship. As they repositioned their explosives, Maya's comm crackled with Chen's voice. "Captain, we've reached the network hub, but there's a problem. The system architecture is unlike anything we've seen. Our virus won't work." Maya felt a wave of despair threaten to overwhelm her, but pushed it aside. "What do you need?" "Direct access to their mainframe," Chen replied. "I need to be out of phase to interface with it, but once I do, I'll be visible to them." "Hold position," Maya ordered. "We're about to create your diversion." She turned to her team. "Set charges for immediate detonation and prepare to defend your positions." As they worked, a sudden alarm blared throughout the chamber. On a nearby display, Maya saw footage of Chen and Haruki, now fully visible, surrounded by Vorathi security forces. "They've been detected," Ellis said urgently. "Detonate now," Maya commanded. The explosives detonated simultaneously, the force amplified by their proximity to the crystal. The blast sent shockwaves throughout the chamber, disrupting the containment field. As the crystal destabilized, it released pulses of energy that tore through the ship's systems. The Vorathi in the chamber reacted immediately, their metallic bodies morphing into combat configurations as they searched for the source of the attack. Moments later, Maya and her team phased back into normal spacetime, their whisper protocol exhausted. "For Earth," Maya shouted as she opened fire, her specialized weapon designed to disrupt the Vorathi's molecular structure. The battle was chaotic and brutal. The Vorathi's bodies were resilient, capable of reshaping themselves to absorb damage, but the humans fought with desperate intensity. Ellis fell first, a Vorathi energy discharge catching him in the chest. Diaz went down protecting Okonkwo, who managed to reach the destabilized crystal. "The field is collapsing," he shouted to Maya. "If it goes critical." He never finished the sentence. A Vorathi commander, distinguished by complex patterns in its metallic skin, launched a barrage of crystalline projectiles that pierced Okonkwo's suit in a dozen places. Maya found herself alone, surrounded by advancing Vorathi. Her weapon was nearly depleted, and blood seeped from a wound in her side where a crystalline shard had penetrated her armor. With grim determination, she backed toward the destabilizing crystal. "Captain," Chen's voice came through her comm, breathless and urgent. "We've accessed their network. The virus is uploading, but they're trying to lock us out." "Keep them busy," Maya replied, her voice steady despite her situation. "I'm about to give you all the time you need." She reached the crystal, now pulsing erratically as its containment field fluctuated. Understanding came to her in a flash of clarity. This wasn't just a power source. It was the heart of the Vorathi consciousness, a quantum computer of unimaginable complexity that coordinated their hive mind. The Vorathi commander seemed to realize her intent. It surged forward, its body reforming into a weapon as it screamed in a language no human was meant to understand. Too late. Maya plunged her hand into the failing containment field, feeling the crystal's energy course through her body like liquid fire. The pain was beyond description, but she held on, using her own nervous system as a conduit to disrupt the crystal's coherence. "For humanity," she whispered as the world around her dissolved into pure light. Throughout the Vorathi command vessel, systems failed catastrophically. The networked consciousness that governed their fleet fragmented, leaving individual ships operating on their own for the first time in centuries. In the network hub, Chen and Haruki witnessed the effects of Maya's sacrifice as the virus they'd uploaded swept through the now vulnerable systems, rewriting command protocols and exposing critical weaknesses. She did it. Chen whispered in disbelief. She actually did it. Chaos spread through the Vorathi fleet. Some ships turned on each other, responding to phantom commands. Others went dormant, their crews suddenly cut off from the central intelligence that had guided them for generations. When Earth's reinforcement fleet arrived 26 hours later, they found a battlefield transformed. The once mighty Vorathi armada was in disarray, reduced to individual vessels fighting without coordination or purpose. Bastion 7, though heavily damaged, had survived. More surprisingly, they discovered allies they never knew they had. 3 other species, the Arcturus Collective, the Veil Nomads, and the Tyrica Imperium, had arrived, drawn by the sudden vulnerability of their common oppressor. For centuries, these species had existed under Vorathi dominion, unable to resist the coordinated might of the hive mind. Now, they seized their chance for freedom. Admiral Hassan stood on the bridge of the EDF Indomitable, looking out at the combined fleet that now faced the remnants of the Vorathi forces. How? He asked the Arcturus representative beside him. How did a single outpost accomplish this? The Arcturus, a crystalline being whose body hummed with subtle harmonics, turned its sensory array toward the Admiral. Your Captain Reyes discovered what we had sought for generations. The true nature of the Vorathi consciousness. They were not invincible. They were networked. Cut off the head, and the body falls. And the cost? Hassan asked quietly. Your captain knew, the Arcturus replied solemnly. The crystal core could only be disrupted by a mind capable of true individual thought, something the Vorathi had sacrificed long ago in favor of network efficiency. She gave her consciousness to shatter theirs. In the days that followed, humanity found itself in an unexpected position, at the center of a new alliance. The species formerly subjugated by the Vorathi looked to Earth not just as liberators, but as inspiration. Humans who had been dismissed as primitive by the Vorathi had accomplished through individual courage and sacrifice what collective civilizations could not. The wreckage of the Vorathi command vessel yielded unexpected treasures, not just advanced technology, but the means to free those who had been captured and studied. Among them was Lieutenant Haruki, who had been separated from Chen during their escape. When asked how he had survived, his answer was simple. I did what Captain Reyes would have done. I never surrendered. 1 year later, a monument was unveiled at the rebuilt Bastion 7. It depicted not just Maya Reyes, but all who had fallen in what became known as the Liberation Battle. At its base was inscribed a simple phrase that had become humanity's unofficial motto in galactic affairs. When the galaxy doubts us, humanity never surrenders. Admiral Hassan, now the head of the newly formed Interspecies Defense Alliance, stood before representatives of 17 spacefaring civilizations during the dedication ceremony. Captain Maya Reyes didn't just save humanity, he told the assembled delegates. She revealed a truth that the Vorathi had spent millennia trying to suppress, that the strength of sentient beings lies not in perfect uniformity, but in our individual capacity for courage, sacrifice, and hope. The Vorathi believed that networking their consciousness made them superior. Captain Reyes proved that some battles can only be won by those willing to stand alone. As if in response to his words, the stars above Bastion 7 seemed to shine more brightly. Among them, visible just at the edge of the system, was a new star, one that hadn't existed before. Scientists would later determine it was the remnants of the Vorathi crystal, transformed by its interaction with Maya's consciousness into something entirely new. The Arcturus had a name for it in their harmonic language that translated roughly to the defiant light. Humans simply called it Maya's star. And in the decades that followed, as humanity ventured further into the galaxy, not as conquerors but as partners, it served as a reminder that one individual, standing at the breaking point between survival and extinction, had changed the course of galactic history. In the heart of the former Vorathi territories, something stirred, a fragmented consciousness slowly rebuilding itself, learning from its defeat. The war was not over. It had merely entered a new phase. But when the Vorathi returned, they would find not an isolated human outpost, but a galaxy united and prepared. And somewhere, in the quantum echoes of Maya's star, the essence of a human captain waited and watched, ready for the day when she would be needed again to show the galaxy that humanity never surrenders.